I just spent like 5 minutes just nervously staring at the camera trying to start this, so I'm just gonna say hi now. So I kept talking about how I was gonna make this video about like reasons why I've struggled with like weight loss and stuff like that before, because I really want to make sure that I'm addressing them this time around and that like they don't just come back and bite me in the butt. I mean, they always kind of do, but like I don't want it to turn into a big problem. So I like made a whole list. Look, I made like a lot of notes, and I might point to it every once in a while. So I had it separated into three categories, which was physical, mental, and societal, and I could probably like talk about each for a really long time. So I'm going to attempt to make this a short video. I don't know why I'm doing this. I need to stop. Um, um, so like my physical stuff, just to get right into it, my reasons for struggling, physically are I have really bad ankles, like just low key, really bad. That's like kind of a minor thing, kind of not a minor thing. Roll my ankles a lot, or I used to until I got new shoes. Yay. Um, and I broke my left ankle once, so that was not good. I didn't even know it was broken. After like 3 days, I just walked on it like normal, and then a doctor looked at it and said, um, yeah, you broke it. And I'm like, oh. And it was like several years later, they're like, yeah, you should have gone to the hospital for this. And I was like, everyone just was calling me a baby for breaking they thought that like, I had just rolled it again. They're like, Sarah, oh, just get over it. You just get over it usually. Why are you being such a baby? And I'm like, it's like it hurt so dang bad. So, and I had foot pain and I like had numbness on the insides of my big toes, which was like not good. But then I got new shoes with wider toe boxes and they have like no padding in them. And like it's being cured. I don't really suffer from like bunions anymore. I don't have problems with foot pain as much anymore. Um, Also, the other physical thing is that like working out can be time consuming. I worked out probably for about 4 years straight. I originally started out by going like to the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, I should say. Gosh, 1 to 2 hours a day. That was on top of I was walking my dogs, and I would walk my dogs 6 to 12 miles a day. By God, I was a slave driver to them, unfortunately. Um, but I kind of stopped doing that, and I had things come up in my life, and I just realized that I didn't like working out in the gym. It wasn't my thing. I kind of would just prefer to do it at home. So I bought this really cool, like, adjustable weight, and I'm happy with it. So that's what we're doing. And I got a little workout program out of little um my little app that I got. So that's really fun. The other part of it is the environment. I live in an area that gets really cold in the winter, and it's not just that it gets cold. It also gets very snowy, very deep with snow. So that can be a factor if I want to go outside, because that's where I get most of my exercise is going outside and doing walks. Like I can walk like 6 miles like no problem, but if there's 16 inches of snow, it's not really gonna work. So, but you know what? Walking inside counts, and also I think I can make a game with it with my dog. So that's like I'm also trying to give like things that I'm using to combat the bad reasons. So anyway, also bugs. Bugs are outside, and I don't like bugs. I don't. Well, I do like some bugs, but I don't like mosquitoes, and I am currently covered in at least 30 mosquito bites all around my body, and it sucks. And I just discover more every day. Such a joy. Um, the other thing is that I live in kind of a small area, and so access to food is a little difficult, like fresh food. It is rural. I can never say the word right, but you know what I mean. I live in the country, so we get like some like food, but I can't get like fancy things like dragon fruit. Like I would love to eat dragon fruit. I like dragon fruit quite a bit. Or like good mangoes. God, I can never get a good mango out here. But I can get stuff if I'm willing to spend the money, but it kind of destroys my wallet a little bit in the process. So I have to kind of like figure it out, find things on sale. But that does kind of bring up like what my points to combat it is that we have a farmer's market and they're kind of expensive, but like sometimes people around town just give away eggs like for free because they have chickens. So that's great. I'm also a night owl, if you hadn't noticed. Uh, and my job doesn't require me to wake up early, thank goodness. But the rest of the world kind of operates on morning person time. And frankly, I think is kind of, I don't know. I have an opinion about that, but it's not important right now. Yeah, so the job thing and just kind of adjusting my schedule a little bit more. I don't have to be a full night person, but I don't have to be a full morning person either. So that's kind of how I've worked around it. Just making sure I get enough sleep because that's really important. So, second category, the mental problems. Ooh. I to kind of avoid oversharing, I'm just kind of going to try to be a bit brief just because I don't know how far I want to go into that. But recently, I think, before I get into that, actually, I think being able to figure out a lot of mental health stuff has been a boon to me on this process. And I feel like, like if you watch my 600-pound life, they've got like people going to therapy as well as doing like the physical therapy, the exercise, the diet stuff, everything. They've got them going because the mental health is really important to the journey. And I have a lot of like childhood biases, like your parents are like, you got to finish your plate of food. They're starving children in Africa thing. I feel like every like American kid has had to deal with that at some point. The other thing is that recently I got diagnosed, sort of, kind of. It's my therapist, so they can't really diagnose. It's more of a psychiatrist or psychologist kind of thing. But I was he's like 99% sure that I have OCD, which makes a lot of sense because I am a crazy perfectionist when it comes to a lot of things. And I often have this mentality, if I can't do it perfectly the first time around, I might as well not do it, which is like not healthy. And don't do that. That's not cool, and it's a really high standard. So like when I've done things in the past, I always sort of get really frustrated and feel a lot of guilt and shame, and that ends up actually making me starve myself when I'm trying to work towards a weight loss goal. I have tried medication for it. I actually found out through a genetic test though that I am genetically incompatible with like most anti-anxiety, antidepressant, antipsychotics on the market, which sucks. Yeah, that's also one of the that kind of tied into both the physical and mental. So yeah, you can get a test done. It's kind of expensive, but I had insurance at the time, so it wasn't as bad as it could be. But a lot of this has become like letting go of this like perfectionism and trying to satiate my anxiety so that I'm not like just bouncing off the walls. A lot of people think I have ADHD, but in reality, although like OCD, ADHD, and anxiety, and autism, they kind of all have a lot of similar symptoms. So anyway, yeah, so I've been working on that and trying to let go of like shame and judgment of myself and like realizing that not every day is going to be perfect and it shouldn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. It's okay. But if I just remain consistent and have a baseline of we're doing pretty darn good, then it should be successful. At least that's the hope. Sorry, I keep looking at my list here. I also get depression. That's sort of based off of my anxiety, honestly, and that's based off of the OCD. It's like a little, we have like a little tower here going. But like, and that does cause like a lack of motivation. Obviously, like I have days where I just don't want to move, and it's hard. It's hard. But I need to rely more on the people who are there to support me and are happy for me, and using like these new things to help myself feel better. Going outside is a really good way to feel better about yourself. Shocker, I know. Even when you are being eaten by mosquitoes, you can in fact feel slightly better. Um, and then recently, my my dog passed away. Um, uh, it was in February, and he was like the one that made me realize that I was like worth it, that something or someone could care about me. And he passed away entirely too soon, and it was very traumatic. And I loved him a lot, and I miss him a lot. But it made me realize that there is so much sadness in life that you have no choice in. And so where you can try to make yourself happy, you should. And you shouldn't, you know, there's like an obligatory amount of sadness in every life, I feel like. And um you should try to make everything else as good as you can. So that was the goal from that. And it also sort of made me put my life on pause for like several months. And it was I actually didn't eat at all during that time. My boyfriend, fiance now, but he had to remind me to eat. And I lost a lot of weight, and then after he passed away, I could eat again. Um, and I just, it's the whole eat your feelings thing, so that's hard. But besides that, um, I tend to feel guilt a lot more easily, which is a downside. But also sometimes in desperate situations, a little bit of guilt can be used to go a long way. Uh, and the final category, sorry for getting emotional, guys, is the societal stuff. So my first point in that is we live in a society, unfortunately. So there's always going to be people who are negative and mean, and like even when you're like going out there and doing the things that they want you to do, they're still going to be like, "Oh, you're so fat or so gross," or "Oh, I'm not attracted to you." And it's like, "Okay, but like I'm trying. Like, isn't that what you wanted me to do? Or do you want me to just stay inside and like, why do I keep doing that? Stay inside and like starve myself. Like, that's not cool. Like, come on." And that's kind of that's the downfall of putting yourself out there and being online, is that people are just gonna be kind of rude, kind of nasty, kind of weird, very weird. It's not a pointed look at anyone. But also, we live in a society, fortunately, that means I have access to so many people who are supportive and great and give me advice and ways to succeed, and just, again, motivation when I am lacking motivation, which is amazing. That's the part of society that is great, is when we can just lift each other up like that. And we can get support from people. Even if they don't know us, they might see us and be like, "You know what? I like what you're doing. I think you're doing great." And even if you don't think you're doing great, I think you're doing great. And yes, I am actually saying that to the person on the other side of the screen, whoever decides to watch it. Um, but yeah, so there's like two sides to living in a society. You have the nasty, but then you have the good people and the people that do want to see you succeed. And you get nasty comments, and I could be kind of snide and point out like things people have said and whatever, but I'm not going to because it doesn't deserve the energy that it takes to even say it. So I'm not going to do it. And I really want to focus on all the positivity everybody who's been watching my videos has been bringing me. So, and that kind of leads into the other point of like bullying and harassment, but on a local level. So in my community, have been harassed whilst walking my dogs before, which is not cool. I've been called slurs like the N word and like we get pretty crazy apparently. And it's usually like teenage boys for some reason. I don't know why. It's just kind of a weird coincidence, and it kind of got worse like right before the election. Not getting political at all. I'm just noticing a trend is all. So because I used to get harassed maybe like once or twice a year while walking down the road, but like in the past like 7 months, God, I've been harassed like 12 times. And again, like we're being called like slurs and really derogatory names. It's just not cool. So like how do I do that? Well, I how do I like combat that? I find support from friends and family and like people who might be watching this video, but like locally I can get a lot of support from friends and family and people. When people join me on my walks, I actually don't get harassed, which is kind of an interesting thing. It's only when I'm alone. So if I'm walking with my fiance, all good. If I'm walking with a friend, all good. But if I'm walking by myself, suddenly it's like, what the heck is going on? So finding that support is really important. And so another thing that is a struggle, but is also a good thing. I am involved in a lot of community activities like our local theater and stuff like that, but that sometimes like gets in the way of like dedicated meal plans and exercise itself, because you become a lot busier because not only do I have to be at work, then I have to go and do rehearsal for like 2 hours or something like that. And then I also have like a couple gaming groups that I'm a part of. But like, the nice thing about theater is that it keeps me active. I'm on my feet quite a bit. So getting my steps in, not a big deal for that. But otherwise, yeah. So the way I want to combat that though, besides like again I can kind of exercise and work out wherever I want, especially with the exercises that I have from this app program thing. I keep saying that, but I don't know if I like should shout it out or not, because I don't want to like, I don't know how that works, but also like if I just make my meals ahead of time, it's no big deal. Throw it in the microwave, bada bing, bada boom. We're done. We're done. So, like, those are the things I struggle with, and those are the things that I'm using to sort of combat them. And honestly, a lot of it comes down to just getting support from friends and family. And I do happen to have very supportive friends, very supportive family, and just very kind and nice people in my life. And that's something to be thankful for and to be happy about. So, I was going to read a quote by my favorite wrestler. I'm wearing his shirt, Razor Ramon. He's since passed away, I believe in 2023, but he is my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm a big wrestling fan. But it's a really inspirational quote, and I take a lot away from it, is hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. So I'm just going to end the video on that. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you have a good rest of your evening, night, day, or whatever. And I hope to talk to you soon. This was really fun, and I'm sorry the video was so long, but it was really fun to just chatter. So thank you for watching.